Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it today. Hey, I got a little, a June shower going on, so there's some rain hitting the roof. Sorry for any background noise. What are you going to do? Move forward, I guess, right? So, with that, I just kind of wanted to share some of the information that I saw come through over the weekend. And one is this headline: Representative Joe Neguse looks to support veterans with new legislation. So anytime I see new legislation, I always wonder, is it affecting existing laws, or is it something new? Is it going to create a new benefit, a new veteran benefit or spouse benefit? What are we looking at? So wanted to share it with you because, hey, if it's something that you support, then you should reach out to your congressional members and let them know that you support this legislation that's being pushed out by Representative Joe Neguse. So let's jump into it. So it starts off it's very short little article. Colorado Congressman Joe Neguse introduced a bipartisan legislative package one day after Memorial Day in an effort to raise veterans' access to services and resources. With this package, U.S. Representative Neguse from Colorado hopes to improve the treatment and compensation for veterans experiencing PTSD and create regional network hubs for veterans, service members, and their families to seek resources and support. So far, that sounds great. I think that that's an absolute right move. And the kind of key in that little paragraph is to improve the treatment and compensation for veterans experiencing PTSD. So I also like the additional support around creating regional network hubs for veterans, service members, and their families to seek resources and support. Very important stuff. So far I'm liking it. Let's move on. Here's a quote. It says, "I am proud to introduce a package of bills to ensure that our veterans, service members, and their families can access the health care, housing, and job training they need to thrive," Neguse said in a statement. "Our veterans and service members sacrifice so much to keep us safe, and it is incumbent on us to make sure we honor our country's sacred commitments to them when they come home." First up in the package is the Department of Veterans Affairs Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Processing Claims Improvement Act. This bipartisan bill would overhaul the Veterans Affairs PTSD claims processing training to improve treatment and compensation for veterans. Outstanding. That should be something that we look into and read a little bit about, right? So this is, again, what's it called? First up is the Department of Veterans Affairs Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Processing Claims Improvement Act. It's a long one, but it sounds like it's got a lot in it, overhauling the Veterans Affairs PTSD claims processing training to improve treatment and compensation for veterans. Very important. So moving on, it says the bill would also direct the Veterans Benefits Administration Compensation Service to standardize trainings for regional office staff and establish a formal process to update training needs based on identified processing errors trends annually. And there's been other congressional members who have mentioned this. Luttrell, for one, mentioned that if problems or processing errors occur and then we as veterans file appeals and then it gets corrected, does it circle back to the beginning of that process for training opportunities so the same mistakes don't continue to happen? So that's a great bill as well. Moving on, the Hubs for Veterans Act. The Hubs for Veterans Act is a piece of legislation that would support local network hubs, which streamline access to essential resources for veterans, service members, and their families. The proposal, which also has bipartisan support, would authorize a 5-year pilot program to provide matching grant funds to nonprofit organizations that offer access to multiple wraparound services from one source or network hubs. So what I'm seeing here is basically utilizing the nonprofit organizations that are strewn throughout the U.S. for those that engage in veteran support with these wraparound type services, anything from probably mental health to homelessness and so forth. So moving on, and when they're talking about matching funds, it could be a 50-50. You know, if the nonprofit puts in $100,000 into a program, they can basically apply for grant funding of $100,000 from the Fed to match their funding. So, trying not to sneeze. So that's the faces. Services could include assistance with housing, healthcare, job training, and education, among other programs. So just the other day, another quote here, just the other day, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Colorado discussed how can a veteran benefit from transition training using his or her veterans benefits, said Steve Konas, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Colorado Legislative Director. The HUB Act will allow veteran service organizations to provide a large number of starting points for veterans to transition. The HUB Act will precisely help service members and their spouses get ready to successfully move forward from their military career to their civilian life. Additionally, Representative Neguse secured $650,000 for the Veterans Community Project Transitional Housing in Longmont as part of the 2023 government funding bill. This project supports the construction of tiny homes for unhoused veterans in Colorado's 2nd Congressional District, which is represented by Neguse, and also includes Routt County and Steamboat Springs. This year, he also introduced legislation to increase funding for the highly successful Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program, which is HVRP. And so HVRP is part of the VA, and it's, I don't know. They're around where I'm at, so they're probably around where you're at. So HVRP is the Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program. And with that concludes this article. Just wanted to share that information because anything that we see legislatively that brings up new benefits for veterans or new access to veterans benefits or new compensation, increasing compensation, maybe what they're looking to do here with these legislative bills is increase the veterans benefits for PTSD on the monetary side is suggested, and maybe they're talking about sliding the scale upward, right? So what would have originally been a 30% rating for PTSD might now be a 50% rating or similar, which would then increase it by hundreds of dollars every single month on the compensation side. So really important stuff here. If you're supportive of this, you should reach out to your congressional members on the House side and let them know that you support Representative Joe Neguse in his efforts with this new legislative package that he's put together. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, truly. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.